All right, guys, welcome to the webinar on 5 ways to grab an uber cool job in social media marketing. So let me introduce myself. My name is Al Amin Sharfuddin. I am a digital marketing junkie. I am a graduate from Indian School of Business, passed out in 2010. I have spent the last 10 years purely in marketing. I've dedicated to marketing, and I think I'll die a marketer as well. So digital happened once I passed out of ISB. I started as a publisher, ad network head, and then moved on to account management and retargeting, consulted on a lot of startups for their initial reaching their audience efforts, and I've realized that, okay, this is the future, and what happened by chance is going to be the career for me and for most of you, I'm assuming, because you're here on the call. So I got a bunch of awesome. A lot of people have acknowledged that they are hearing me. This is great news. So here is how we are going to run this. There is the questions box. So anytime during the session, feel free to just put in any question there. If it's appropriate at that moment, I'll go ahead and answer it, or I'll keep it till the end of the session. But I promise you, no question will go unanswered. So with that and no further delay, we shall get started. Okay, so the topic itself is, so I'm assuming since I mentioned social media, I mentioned marketing, I mentioned job, there is a lot of context already. Like, I am assuming that you guys understand which part of the ecosystem you are in, but the idea is so that we get started and we proceed in the direction to see how do I land up in the sweet spot of social media marketing. Now, I've been asked by an attendee if there will be any video. Unfortunately, there won't be any video. It's a pure audio session, and there will be a deck that will be running through. If I was one of your celebrities, then definitely yes, I would have put on video and then survived by that. I'm not there yet. So kindly pardon me, and we shall stick with the presentation and the audio bit. Yeah. Okay. So here we go. All right. So what are we going to do today as objectives, right? So we want to understand what are the high-paying jobs available in social media marketing. That is definitely one of the main objectives that we have set today. Awesome. While we wait, I have a question that has come in. Is there any technical requirement to do social media marketing? Fantastic news. There is no technical requirement. And as you will realize as we go through the deck, it's purely a field of marketing. I have started myself as an electrical engineer, and I moved on to do telecom engineering, and I couldn't survive more than 8 months in it. So that's where my technical career ended. So don't think that I need to understand some coding or I need to understand something on the tech side for me to be able to do social media marketing. But what is required is what we'll be discussing. But here's the deal. If there is a specific section called social media applications, which kind of sits on the layer of audience. Now, for you to be able to build social applications, obviously, one, you need a concept, two, you need an initiative, three, you need to understand engagement. But for you to be able to do that, you don't need to do it yourself. Like, you don't need to understand that this is the way I should go to get or make that happen. You can always, once you come up with a concept, you can outsource it and get it done. So yes, as a clear no, you don't need any technical requirement to get started to perform social media marketing on behalf of any brand or agency or as an independent consultant. Okay, so I'm guessing that people have come back, and I'm assuming it's all set. So let's move back to the deck. So the objective for today I'm laying out is, so how should we, or what, first we have to understand what are the high paying jobs that are available, right? Now, without knowing them, you don't know what to hit or what to target. So first we understand what the high paying jobs are, then we go to understand what the skill sets are required. Then as yourself, you will figure out what are the gaps that are there between the jobs and the skill sets and yourself. Be aware of what's happening, and we just take a deep dive to see how exactly we land the job. Now, another question has come in during that time is, I don't know much about media marketing. How long do you recommend it takes to learn the basics? All right, so I'm of all people, I think I'm the most qualified to answer that question because I started exactly as you, right? And when I started, I would not understand what an impression mean, what ads mean, what do people pay for, or what kind of media buying is possible. This is where I started, and today I'm doing this course. So it is purely logic driven. People can master this in like an hour, or they can master it in ages. So what defines the mastering of social media marketing or in general media marketing is not just knowing the basics, is knowing the basics, understanding the science behind it, understanding the art behind it, and then going step forward to create engagement. So that's where, so learning this is easy. Applying this and adding your own niche on top of it is the journey that you will have in media marketing. Hope that's clear, but feel free to kind of come back on any open doubts that you might have, right? So before we proceed, first I have to give you the bad news. The bad news is all of you who have had any kind of background in marketing or no background in marketing, no matter what roles or jobs you come from, here is a statement that you will remember that I made during the time of this webinar. All of you will be replaced exactly in 2 years if you continue doing what you're doing today. And you can quote me on this. Just don't kind of badmouth me when that happens, but please be thankful that I'm telling you ahead of time. Everybody, especially who's aspiring to be in marketing or who's already in marketing or who's doing other jobs that is connected with in terms of customer or consumer facing, any of you who have been building truckloads of experience all this while, you will be replaced by people who can do those jobs in a web format, who can do those jobs in a more automated format, which means you need to rediscover, rethink, and re-establish yourself as to what you would become in this field of reaching audiences, because that's the future where the money is, that's the future where advertisers will head towards, and that's the future where audience is going to be. Okay, so here is the bad news, right? So I've told you clearly that you will be replaced in 2 years. You're like, okay, dude, thank you very much for telling me that. What happens now? What do I do, right? And for you to understand where to get started, just let's take one little peek at how internet has affected our life, right? Internet has affected our life. For that, for us to understand the impact of it, I'm just borrowing a chart from vSocial where they have told this is the penetration of internet as percentage of the total population. How do you read this? If I look at Canada, 93% of the users are online. If I look at India, 19% of the users are online. But the trend is towards reaching saturation. The trend is towards having access to the internet across the globe. There is no change towards it. The growth is tremendous. What was seen as 100 million users in India became 200, is becoming touching 350, predominantly all driven by mobile internet usage. But all you have to keep in mind is, for now, there is no big thing I've said so far, is that internet penetration is reaching saturation, and all developing countries will reach saturation point much sooner than any projections that are out there. So this is what you need to keep in mind. Tomorrow anyone talks, you know, you have to first stop the language, which is, hey, this is the penetration of the internet, which means this is a medium where people are going. And remember, this is percentage of the total population. So there is an upward trend. There is very fast adoption of this. So you know for a fact that people are getting online much faster than ever. Okay. Now, knowing this, what can we say next? The penetration of social media as compared to the usage of the internet and the population. Now, don't you see a similar trend that the approach that people are following towards getting online is being followed by people being on social media, right? Now, for you to understand media in the simplest sense, obviously the first form of media was the print poster that was put up on the walls in the yesteryears, Why? Because marketers thought there are a lot of people walking on the road. They can see this poster that's on the wall. They can understand more about a brand or a service. Okay. Then came your radio, then came TV, then came any medium that you know as part of advertising, that wherever people are there. Remember this is a very simple thing, but it goes a long way in understanding media buying. Wherever people are there, there is scope, there is an opportunity for marketing, and advertisers are ready to pay that medium, that money, no matter how much, to get awareness about their product or service. So now you can get an idea why people spend on advertising on a TV. Why? Because all of us are watching TV. Then why people are spending on newspaper. Advertisers are putting huge ads on newspapers. How do you think they make sense of it? Because a newspaper sells the same ad space back to advertisers, saying that, hey, you know what? I got so much viewership of the population in Tier 1 cities, which means if you advertise with me, I give you that reach. Fantastic, very simple equation. Then whatever I said so far in terms of penetration of internet or percentage of population and penetration of social media as percentage of the internet and the population, do you see what is happening here? Right? What is happening here exactly is this: because the adoption has hit so huge, because the number of users, the number of eyeballs, the volume of audience that has come on board these channels has kind of surpassed any kind of known media in such an extent in terms of growth. You will see that suddenly advertisers don't have to go to any other medium to spend money, because they can spend all that money in these channels where the people are there, where the audience is there. I said it, that's the golden word, audience. So the golden word I need to tell you today is audience. To give you a quick example, the number of volume of money that is spent is about 1,800 crores in Indian advertising in online, and all of this is to attract this 20% penetration population. That comes to a cost of 200 rupees per person, which means tomorrow if you own a property that has 1,000 users, you actually can claim 200 into 1,000 in theory as the per year, as the what, as the value of the audience you own. So now you understand where the whole concept of audience is kicking in, and why am I directly jumping into social media without even discussing anything else? Because number one, rate of adoption, number two, the volume of audience, and number three, time spent on it. I just have a quick question popping up. I'm just going to quickly say, so you mean in another 2 to 5 years, it will be only the digital medium will be left? Wow, I love, especially when someone asks a question like this, where the answer is in the question itself. In fact, the person who has asked this question has been a little generous to say 2 to 5 years. Trust me, we are going to see much sooner than 5 years. I have been telling within 1 to 2 years, the percentage of budgets that will be occupied by digital medium. And when I say digital medium, here I'm going to give you a bonus insight that how a predominant percentage of this digital medium spend will be on social media, and how predominant percentage of the total spend on marketing will be on digital medium. So, and you have the numbers right in front of you. So if you're not in the thick of things, if you're not in the middle of these things, then suddenly all of this has happened way too soon. You wouldn't even know what hit you, and it's too late to get started in this field of social media marketing. Right? So while for the name per se, I'm saying it as social media marketing, but for me, when I think marketing, this is where my money will go. Okay. So having said that, here is the new age Pied Piper, right? The new age Pied Piper for me is the social media channels, which is obviously bringing in all the audience. We just saw the numbers, we just saw the figures that everybody is heading there. Now, who will follow the audience? If audience is going and spending most of their day's time in a certain medium, who's going to follow them? The brands, because brands want eyeballs, brands want awareness, brands want influence. They want to develop an interest, create a desire, bring in action. And if brands are able to follow the audience, then who will follow the brands? The agencies who survive because of these brands. agencies who can create those stories, who can execute campaigns, who can build advertising in its truest sense. And if all of this action is happening, you could also be in the thick of this action if you realize this exact ecosystem. Yeah, the only difference between the actual Pied Piper and this guy is that the previous Pied Piper basically got everyone lost, and this one is not going to be. This one is your road to be in the thick of action as early as it can get, and there is no better time than now when everyone is still figuring this space out, where the knowledge is much lesser than the growth this particular channel is giving, right? So remember this today. First, so far your takeaway should be this: anyone talks about this, you have to put your head strong and say, boss, let's not talk crap. All the money is heading towards this channel. Why? Because of the penetration these channels have in the digital medium, and because of the penetration digital medium has in terms of the eyeballs of the users. Period. There is no second thoughts about this. You can say, and if you want to be smarter, quote numbers about penetration, quote numbers about population, quote numbers about marketing spends, quote numbers about increase in terms of budgeting spends quarter on quarter, on month. Okay. I have another question which has come in, which is how can we improve our brand for freshers? I am assuming the question is, as individuals, how can we build a brand for ourselves? Is that correct? Is that the question that was asked? Could you confirm if I understood the question right? Perfect. So the beauty of this channel is the experience doesn't matter. There is nothing called fresher here. There is nothing called 5 years experience here. So everyone starts equal. Why? Because a person has 10 years of marketing experience doesn't mean that the person understands social media marketing channels, right? Which means a person who's apparently called a fresher is, both of you start on the same plane. So what sets you guys apart? What sets you apart is the way you can understand what these channels are, what you can do with it, the way you can pitch an idea forward, the way you can sell yourself that this way I can engage users better than anyone you can talk to. Okay, and I'm going to tell you just that in the next 3-4 slides, where what is that we are looking at in terms of opportunities. The next question that comes is still, if you talk about percentage of internet penetration in rural India, do you think digital would really work? Fantastic question. I love people when they bring questions about rural India. Here is an interesting fact. The percentage penetration in rural India is surpassing percentage penetration in urban in terms of growth. So your reach in rural India, which advertisers and brands have been trying to battle using mass media all this while and living on sample statistical measurements, is suddenly going to get so much smarter, and suddenly they have access to people right at the point of location. The opportunity is immense. Marketers are today battling what we call as supply chain networks on the ground, because they are using existing networks to tap them and get products across. But today you have opening a new communication channel. Why? Because of cheaper mobiles, cheaper data availability, cheaper connections. Why do you think net neutrality became a big deal? Because they didn't want to sabotage or corporatize this whole deal. They wanted easy and free access for people to ensure connectivity is first. And now, when people have connectivity, what do they do first? They want to jump onto social media. And now, if people are on social media, there is no more rural, urban, or how do I reach rural, how do I reach urban? That's not the question that you're going to face. Followed up by another question is, how can we make our social media post as effective to drive more traffic? It is beyond the scope of this webinar, unfortunately, but obviously it's a valid question. I will see if I have time at the end of the webinar to give in some tips. As a follow-up, it is only usage of social media for chit-chatting and nothing else, I believe. Everyone as a consumer, including me, see social media as nothing but, hey, I send messages, I post pictures, I get likes, right? And I'm not blaming you for this. This is what we are expected to understand. This is what you are expected to know as an end user. But we are not talking about end users here. We are talking about the marketing opportunities. The same reason why advertising works on social media marketing is because end users have to know only this much. They spending day in day out on this medium, and that's all the advertisers need. They need eyeballs. They don't need you to perform marketing efforts as an end user. But we as people of social media marketers are going to tap in on this group and understand, in between this chit chat, in between this posting, in between this content, how do I make a dent? That's the idea. So don't mistake between end user behavior and marketers behavior. Appreciate it. All right. So now that you know what the opportunity is, you have to first find your calling, right? We have to accept first, agree that this is the space to be, and how do I get started? What can set me up as a platform to start learning and move forward and ensure that I am an acceptable professional in this ecosystem? Right? So I call it breaking social because it literally means reinventing yourself, relooking as a person. Okay, I'm sorry to kind of put you in some kind of I'm just going to make a statement which some people may agree or not agree to. Social media marketing as such is an extension of you as a person. I don't know how many of you understand or know the 1984 Apple ad where Steve Jobs kind of was very famous for this particular Apple ad, where he talks about, we are not talking about the regulars, we're talking about the ones who are going to make a difference. So who have a little twist in their head, who want to do things differently, who have a creative bent of mind, or who just want to do things differently. So if you're the person who believes in regular routines, who believes in doing things as usual, as normal, social media marketing, at least the cool opportunities may not be necessarily for you. But if you are the person who has been the maverick, who has been the outcast, who has been the different person always amongst your peers, man, trust me, hook or crook, luck or by no luck, you've landed at the right place. Just take the bandwagon and keep moving. So think about this very hard before you put a step into this, because as I said, if you're not, it's a complete extension of you, and if you're not that person that I'm projecting as a requirement, there are other opportunities within social media marketing which will survive you in the ecosystem, but not necessarily those uber cool opportunities. Okay, so the first choice you need to make once you are introduced to social media marketing and its opportunities is, do you want to go the science way or do you want to go the art way? Okay, when I say the science way, obviously there is science involved, which just means learning the nuts and bolts, the bare bones of how these things work and mastering them. And when you're talking the art way, you are going completely on audience engagement, you're completely understanding human behavioral aspects, you're fitting yourself now as an end user, as an end consumer, only to come back and shake up that world. Okay, at a broad level, understand that you have a choice to make when it comes to social media marketing. That is, do you go science, do you go art? Personally, each one of you make an understanding of what do you personally connect with. Okay, right? If you are going the science way, here is the typical growth curve in terms of opportunities, learning, and in terms of money. So if you see, obviously the y-axis, the x-axis is money, and the dimensional axis is nothing but you're progressing to be a person as you go forward. What do you start with? What you start with is, first at the simple stage, is a channel level. You understand all the known channels. There is Facebook, there's Twitter, there's Pinterest, there's Reddit, there is blogs, there is Quora, there is channels like exploding like crazy. So at the beginning, what you do, you just become channel level experts, where you understand how a certain channel works, what happens within the channel. Okay, so this is the way people interact. You understand the ecosystem. This is the content. This is what advertisers pay for, etc. Fair enough, you can survive. You can ensure that you have a decent career. People need these guys to be part of the bigger team. Okay, now once you understand channel, what do you progress to? You become the campaign expert. Now once you understand channel, you understand what kind of campaigns. For people who are not used to media marketing, campaigns are nothing but it's a combination of setting up creatives, setting up organic as well as paid channels to what users finally react to. So if you look at any channel that you today use, you will see sponsored ads, you would see initiatives, contests, that all that come. Just the mere act of running and executing campaigns on channels is step 2, where you just know how to set up a campaign, nothing else. You just know how to set up a campaign. People tell you this is what you do, get started. Okay, now here you go one step ahead. Now that you know, understand channel, you understand what campaigns are, now you get into the field called optimization, which is you look at campaigns, you've been looking at campaigns all this while, you suddenly realize that, oh, this is working, this is not working. How do I use my experience of my channel knowledge and my campaign knowledge to better results, which comes from the process of optimization. Optimization is somewhere in the mid-level. If you've reached this far, it's actually good because you really go into the nuts and bolts of the system, and this is where science starts really. Okay, you've done optimization for so long, so you know what needs to change each time to work and what becomes better as a result of it. You enter the world of analytics, which is hotcakes. This is where the money really starts pouring, right? Analytics cannot come right from scratch. You need to go through this process. You reach the word analytics, you draw your own frameworks, you have your experiential theories, you use upon what has been proven in market, you fill it back in your regular deal of things. Suddenly you are an analytics expert where you know anything and everything to improve any metric that's defined by this. Okay, so you mastered channel, campaign, optimization, analytics. You just thought you arrived? Not yet. Now you suddenly become the demi-boss, which is called reaching the strategy level. At a strategy level, you are able to combine your collective experience of channel knowledge, setting up campaigns, optimization, and building the analytics framework. Ideally, at this stage, you will have a team working for you, each of these functions, and you just set the direction, and you have the depth enough to set the direction. This is ideally where you're pitching. You don't start pitching to the client yet. This is where you've been given the pitch, you've been awarded the contract, but you lay down the strategy that for 6 months, this is how life is going to work. And over the period of time when you've done this time in and time out, obviously you land up as the boss. And if you think that this timeline to becoming the boss is years together, you're wrong. And this is exactly where things get interesting. If you see, most of the new social media experts are all young people only because they have more exposure on the ground than traditional seasonal marketers. So it is a brilliant journey. This is ideally where you have collective strategists working across accounts, building analytics frameworks, giving reporting, setting up optimization parameters, coming up with a social media action plan, convincing brands and agencies of pitches that you have. That time you will reach a point where you don't know what to do with the amount of money you're getting. Okay, I have a question. Does the real social media marketing could be achieved by advertising in social media through campaigns? Brilliant question, because everyone today has this misconception that if you are doing if you're doing social media marketing, it means doing advertising. Social media marketing is not advertising. Social media marketing means engaging your audience. Engaging your audience is a function of two parts, which is organic and paid. The portion which is paid media is analogous to advertising but not equivalent to advertising. Unfortunately, the scope lets me kind of stop because I'm so connected to this topic. I can just spend the next hour talking about this. But to answer your question, just social media marketing cannot be achieved by pure advertising. Sorry, bad news. Yeah. Okay, so now you've gone the science way. You see, this is the way you can reach where the money is, and you know opportunities exist in each of these verticals. Okay, so you can directly jump in the middle, but you will be left behind. This is the evolution process, but this is where the money is in each vertical, progressing towards the right. Fine. If you want to go the art way, what are the options that we have? If you go to art way, the starting point is simple. You start with creatives, right? You start with coming up with creatives that people react to. Remember, at this point, you're not expected to do any kind of campaign strategy or what is the overall plan, nothing. You are given a brief, you are coming up with interesting creatives that suits different channels that exist in social media. Okay, number one. Okay, now that you understand creative, you keep doing creative. With time, you realize, oh, this is the type of content that people are reacting to. Now, suddenly you're not talking at a creative level. You're talking about collective creatives coming as part of the original content. So you're slowly progressing towards the content. The beauty about the art way is money actually starts coming in from the content itself, predominantly because content drives the world of social media marketing and the web itself. So the progression from creative to content takes time, but if you hit the content itself, you have some real good opportunities starting to show up where they just want interesting content to engage people. Okay, now you do content over a period of time. What do you hit? You hit initiatives. Initiatives is nothing but how do you put together different types of content for different output expected from audiences. At this point in time, you'll be able to answer that question. Advertisers come and say, hey, I want to be able to get this from my end user. What should I do? You come up with multiple initiatives, each a collection of content and each in turn a collection of creatives. Okay, now you've gone ahead, kind of mastered initiative. Finally, you land up in something what I called as engagement. Engagement is so easy to say, but it's the most difficult to achieve. If you reach this point, you are again the demigoddess in terms of art, where now you can exactly say, even before the start of anything, while during the pitch made to a client itself, hey, this is the way I see engagement happening, and this is what I will do to drive the engagement that you're expecting. And as you do multiple engagements, you become the real deal, where you are able to go across clients, set customized engagement driven by initiatives, collection of content as a multitude of creatives. Wow. So as 5 steps to land, here is the suggestion that I have in as the webinar comes up. The first thing is always do not, if you're really starting, then yes, go choose a particular path, see if you are able to see yourself interested and creating something new or making a dent there. Proceed in a sequential approach. If you already have some context, target a hybrid approach. See how you can mix up experience in building content and initiatives on one side. On the other side, you're building campaigning and analytics. This is the hype. So you should build your blocks in a very hybrid way, so that each client is different. One client expects more on the science, one client expects more on the art. Your hybrid approach will make you the person to go after. I have the question which says, can you please suggest us the best ways how to engage audience for a social media channels and drive traffic to a landing page? I would love to, man. Trust me, this is what I do as part of the entire training exercise. As I said, the scope does not literally allow me to start talking about how to actually, because it's a complete modules put together to kind of master the art of engaging audience and landing people in the traffic, landing traffic on your landing page. Because what you're talking about is the awareness stage of the AIDA funnel, which is what social media is predominantly used for. So unfortunately, I'll have to let that go, but hang in there, maybe you'll get something from what we have, right? Right, so first is the hybrid approach. Second is, do not stick to saying that, hey, I know how to perform ABC things on specific channels. That's not going to take you far. Become an engagement expert. How do you become an engagement expert? Become the consumer yourself. See what pushes you to consume content. See what attracted you. See what kind of social objects that do brands use that has been able to attract you as an end user. Only by collective monitoring, listening, and putting this part of your bigger bag of tricks will you slowly end towards an engagement expert. So if you think that, oh, I know this channel in and out, trust me, you'll perish sooner than today, because channels continuously keep changing much quicker than anything. Sell yourself before you sell your plan. I know a person earlier in the session asked me about how do we sell ourselves as freshers. Dude, So here is what I say. As you begin your journey in one of these two directions that I've kind of showed you, once you attain a certain level, no matter what it is, you could be at level 1, level 2, level 3, you need to first clearly put forward what you have become over a period of time. After that, only people are willing to listen to your plans. Otherwise, there'll be no credibility to the plan that you put forward as a pitch to a client. So ensure that whatever you mastered during the point, see what is your niche that you can achieve. Oh, I've been told that I can't be heard. I'm just going to do a quick check. Can people hear me? Okay, so I have confirmation that I can be heard. That is good. So I get scared sometimes when I'm in the middle of things and people tell me that I can't hear you. Then I feel really bad that that thing just went lost. So anyway, thanks for confirming that you guys can hear me. So. Sell yourself before you sell your plan. It's important that you sell yourself as a person if you're becoming an independent consultant or as a social media marketing expert within the company or as part of the agency, right? The fourth is basically, this is a very important tip. The product, when I mean product here, it means the different channels that we're talking about, they keep going through enhancement in terms of what they can offer. The platform that came up 2 years, 3 years back is very different from what it is today. Today we're talking about retargeting, we're talking about custom audiences, we're talking about lookalike audiences, we are talking about extended email targeting from social media. It's crazy. And until and unless you actually understand what these enhancements are, you won't be able to sell that as part of selling your pitch. So please keep track of product enhancements that will help you push forward and kind of make yourself look attractive in front of the pitch. And finally, if all goes bad, I would obviously kind of push you to come on board Edureka. Edureka is offering the social media marketing course. So this webinar is brought to you by Edureka, and I hope I was able to give you some perspective for you guys to get started. It's definitely no Herculean task. It's just understanding that there is an opportunity and coming forward and grabbing it and figuring out where your calling is, finding the skill set gaps with what the opportunities in each of these verticals that we discussed, and eventually crashing it. And trust me, when the boom, which is already happening, but when the boom happens, you will be the most ready person than any other person out there in the market. So thank you very much for your attendance. I would take questions for the next 5 minutes. And if you guys are cool, then this webinar will be published later in Edureka's page and as well as Edureka's list of assets. So here is the first question. Could you suggest the best social media strategy, man? I whenever I'm asked like a question that requires an answer for hours of training, I unfortunately feel bad that I'm not able to answer that. But um, in terms of the best social media strategy in a single line would be get in the right mix of engagement through organic content and organic channel effects, and then top it up with paid marketing. That is the strategy that has always worked. Why do I say that? Because people tend to do paid marketing to start off things with and they fail bad. So that is an interesting thing that I can tell you as part of social media strategy. Is there any trick which you can share through which we can increase awareness and engagement? Okay, as quick tricks I can tell you is anything that pushes people to submit their own content, user generated content, initiatives that pushes people to participate, and also a concept called ulterior marketing, where I reach my brands through extended brands of this target audience that I have. These two tricks are bound to work. So if you have some thoughts, you can definitely try it out there. How can I take control of my brand online through social media marketing? Brand control through social media marketing is, first thing I would like to tell you, never use the word control when it comes to social media marketing, because social media marketing is not about control. It's about coexistence. It's about sharing. It's about coexisting and by creating a brand voice and a brand character. So don't lose sight of that. The only way, if at all, you should be on top of everything is having a social audit, putting a social policy in process, and getting in all the components of it on a timely check. What about if someone is good in both science and art? like I'm an engineer and ad filmmaker as well. My scope in social marketing, dude, you are the guy everyone's been looking for. Chuck everything else, get on board soon. How much experience does it take up to reach analytics? Please advise. I'm marketing and with so much experience in product marketing and BTL. Can you suggest a product career pathway one should choose? Okay, since you already have a marketing experience, you understand the ecosystem. What changes is only the medium, which means at this point in time, whatever questions that you have tried to answer through traditional medium for BTL as well as for product marketing, you have to reinvent yourself how you can achieve the same using the channels that you have. So the path I would take if I were you, again, this is very personal, it depends on what you are as a person. So I would choose is first understanding how each of these channels can help me to do the functions that I've been doing before. Then I would follow it up with what can I bring things differently to the plate. Is it by coming up with a niche analytics framework, coming up with a new content strategy, or coming up with an overall content plan? Is what is going to give me the change that I look. Once you have that, you can craft your profile in such a way that you enable new age brands who need product marketing efforts, and you have cracked it. In fact, your question has such an insight that it paves way for a path that you can decide by yourself. How can I get engagement for hospital client? I'm extremely sorry. This is it's a very detailed answer for specific to a client industry, but engagement definitely has a common path. So anything that would attract your target audience in terms of how do you understand that? You understand your target audience is associated to what other brands. So you go watch the other brands, what they're doing to engage people. That's a good starting point. What is the average post reach to page likes do you see in general? Post reach to page likes. Wow, this is an interesting question. So post reach is the number of people who have seen a certain ad or a post, and page likes is a conversion metric. Okay, in typical digital medium, conversion percentage ranges from 1% to 4%. However, post reach to page likes is a different it's what do you call it? It's a different conversion metric. What I'm talking about, actual business goals conversion. So it ranges anywhere from 20 to 40%, which I've seen. I personally executed for 3 startups where I've been able to ramp up to like 50,000 likes or 40,000 tweets within a short period of time. So my impression to conversion ratio in terms of page likes was pretty high, somewhere touching about 65%. But I would not suggest that, because social media marketing is not about generating volume, it's about generating quality. Okay. How can you help me in building a brand? Building a brand is nothing but talking about awareness in the entire AIDA funnel. So if you understand what happens in terms of what contributes to building awareness in the entire sales funnel, you can answer that question yourself. I promise you that. There are 700 plus social media platforms. Which one is right for a company page? This is exactly a framework that we go through in the course, which is it is not about choosing top 5 or top 10 channels and ensuring that I do something there. Every brand has its own set of channels that work for it. So one step is towards identifying what is the right set of channels. This is part of the social media action plan that is fed by the goals that you arrive with alongside the client. There is a question matrix that you answer, which understands or puts specific, how do I call it, which puts the questions in relevant context, and once you're able to arrive at these goals, it translates into action plans. Then you find out where your target audience is, and you'll be surprised sometimes you will not find them in the regular channels that people are exposed to. Okay, is it advisable to learn digital and social media courses, or one needs to learn it on hand experience? Sorry, what is this again? Is it advisable to learn digital and social media courses, or one needs to learn it on hand experience while working? All right, I'll give you a very honest answer. This is like someone asking me, is it advice for me to go and learn a GMAT or a CAT in a class, go for a, some kind of a training program, or should I learn it at home? There are many toppers who are there who have learned at home and done it. But what enrolling in a course gives you is structure. What enrolling in a course gives you discipline towards learning something and getting started. In fact, that is the biggest. And the third bit is collective learning from an audience group that you're a part of. Okay, this would be the last question I'll be taking. How is social media content marketing different from social media marketing? Social media content marketing is part of social media marketing, so it's a subset. So I wouldn't say it's different, it's a subset of it. Which of these will give a higher pay? Is it PPC or Facebook ads? You are entering a very interesting analytics field, which I call as attribution. In attribution, there is something called, what we follow today in web measurement is called last click method of measurement. In last click method of measurement, PPC scores higher than anything else because it is considered as the channel that fed to a sale or a conversion happening. So web measurement masters tend to increase, how do I call it? Increase the credit given to PPC. That's why you will see PPC is being spent a lot on. But in the field of attribution, all channels are compared equal in terms of what introduced the brand, what led to in creating a desired action. Think of the last purchase you did online, you will realize what I'm saying right now. It's not the last search you did and went that led to the purchase. It's the display ad that came before that. It's the review that you read in a blog. It's the social media page that you went and saw. All of this contributed, but today is not given credit for a conversion. How much weightage would you give to social content marketing to paid marketing? Okay, remember, content is not free. So when you say social content marketing to paid marketing, for me it's the same because it takes money to create content and it takes money to do paid marketing. So both go hand in hand. All right. So with that, thank you guys. Thank you very much for spending time with me, and I really appreciate it. And please pass on your feedback or any type of questions in the common forums. You will definitely find me roaming around there, and I'll come and catch you guys. All the best. Oh wait, there's someone who's been throwing in a lot of same question. I'll anyway try answering that. I think I answered this. There are 700 plus social media platforms. Which one is right for a company page? I told you, choosing the set of channels that work for a particular brand or service is part of the social media marketing journey. Okay, choosing doesn't mean choosing the top 5 or the bottom 5. It starts with defining what the objectives are using the client. It starts with further restraining these goals into an action plan. An action plan defines what should be expected from your target audience, and based on the expectation, I connect it with what each channel can give me as output. I arrive at my final set. Then I put together what should be the final, strategy, content plan, content calendar, all of these parts. Um, uh, Sorry, I can't share any of my personal details here, but you can always look me up on Edureka under the social media marketing course. Uh, for Facebook automation, there are a lot of content dissemination tools and third-party analytics tools. I keep an eye on all these when it comes to Facebook automation, and that's the extent Facebook allows automation as well. Perfect, guys. Thank you very much for spending time with me, and I hope you had some value to derive from today. Appreciate it, and see you soon. Good luck with your journey on the world of social media marketing. God bless.